Hey guys, today I want to talk about the Abyss update, when it could be coming, and what it could be or what it could mean for Skyblock. But before I do, just to put it out there, we are less than 800 subs away from hitting 30k, which means we can apply for the sweet red name on Hypixel. So if you're new, maybe check below, see if you're subscribed or not. If you aren't, maybe think about doing so. It would mean a lot to me and would help the channel quite a bit. But anyway, let's go back to the video. So Abyss update, what is it going to be? To me, the Abyss update sounds like an underwater type area. Now, if you guys played a mod pack on Terraria, there is something called the Abyss, and I would like to think it would be something very similar to that, since it would be pretty easy for them to just take that idea. But either way, the Abyss should just be underwater content with some very powerful mobs, essentially coming as a new fishing update. Now, will it be a fishing update? I'm not sure. It could be the end 2.0, which is something I've been talking about quite a bit lately, especially with the whole mythology update that's kind of been going around right now. The end 2.0 would essentially be pretty similar to the end, but it would spawn a different boss. Now, I'm not sure what they'd use for an enemy, maybe like an Elder Guardian or something like that, considering they used them in the Floor 3 fight. So, kind of weird, but I think it would be really cool if there was some kind of really powerful enemy you could spawn, very, very similar to the end, which would draw all people to work together for, beat a new boss, get new loot, stuff like that. I wouldn't say it's too limiting on what they can do, but I think they kind of boxed themselves in. Because if you guys don't know, there is the Diver's Armor, which that armor is pretty much meant for that update. Probably to explore the biome a lot easier. But since we already have that armor right away, because you just need fishing 20, so it just kind of sets barrier to entry at that level. So it could be very limiting content, which does not sound like the best thing to do, since I'm not sure what their philosophy is on updates, but they really try to make them accessible for most people. Now, it might not seem that way with, the end and dungeons, but just, dipping your toe in the water, you can do fairly well on any of these new updates they release. Now, if you want to get super far into them, like, doing dragons, for example, in the end update, doing the highest floor, you're going to have to put some time into the game, which I think is normal. But they are not in the realm of end game. I don't think Skyblock has a true end game right now. Most of the content is pretty much mid game, some of it going late game, as like considering maybe like floor 4 late game, but I would still consider it to be somewhere around the mid game. Slayers could have been deemed an end game type, you know, a content drop, but they didn't continue updating it, so there's that. There's also the possibility that all like not just the Abyss, but this new mythology stuff could be like Slayer, for example, right? Where or like the Iron Golem boss in the end, which was a recent addition, which is another way they can go about adding in new content, which I personally was not a fan of it since it came in so late. But having something like that in the Abyss, let's say you gotta go around, kill a bunch of guardians in the Abyss, like in the water in the Abyss, and eventually you'll spawn an Elder Guardian, like world boss, I guess you could call it. You guys know what a world boss is? It's normally just like in other games, spawns pretty powerful enemy, lots of health, so people get their damages, and as long as you contribute to the boss, you get some loot. But talking about loot is quite an interesting topic for Skyblock. There's a reason why I'm like Skyblock is mostly end game or not any mid game, because the loot is just not there for end game. Now there is a few end game drops like Ender Dragon Pet. This thing is really good for DPS, definitely the top damage pet, which could be considered an end game item considering its price. But then you have everything else like Superior and like swords like Midas, and their price is like a fraction of it. And that has to do with release time, rarity, stuff like that. But I do think there could be a lot better items added in the future, maybe even this year. But again, there's only 3 months left in the year, so I'm really curious how they handle the rest of 2020, considering you know, this year was very sparse on content. Like, we've got dungeons, pets, and that's pretty much it for this year. Now, they could end the year with a bang. I really hope they do. You know, the Abyss, the Smellology update, Mares, all this stuff that's coming. But right now, we're just mainly focused on the Abyss, so I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But I do want to go back to the whole Terraria Abyss. So, if you guys have never played it, I talk about it sometimes in videos. But there is a Terraria mod pack called Calamity. Now, it adds in a lot of content to the game, which is very cool. I think Skyblock would benefit quite a bit from, not, I mean, re-stealing ideas, but taking some inspiration from them. Especially for the Abyss. You guys know how the Abyss works in that game? The Abyss has multiple different levels. Now, as you go deeper down, it takes more air, you start taking damage, it gets darker, the enemies are stronger, stuff like that. Now, I think, it getting darker and enemies getting stronger is a pretty fair and basic concept, Deeper underwater, less light. I don't know how that'd work in Minecraft, considering it's Minecraft, so can't really get darker, but I can totally see, if you don't have the correct gear, which there is also, you can get diving gear in that game as well. I think it's called Abyssal gear, or Abyssal diving gear, or whatever. I don't play the mod pack too much, but I think it's just really cool. There's also very powerful mini bosses or bosses as well. And there's even like a treasure at the very end that you can go get. So maybe like some kind of altar or anything at the bottom of the abyss with all the scare enemies that people can go loot every so often or you kill the mini boss and you go down there and get it, would be cool. Now I kind of want to go from there and kind of talk about what I think would be cool. So if they could somehow pair it with the fishing update, since the Abyss should require, a fishing level to start doing, it would be really cool if they made it really tie hand in hand with fishing. So fishing is not the most fun skill. None of the skills are in this game really. I can't really think of time I enjoyed doing skills. I'm not sure for you guys, but the rewards are not there. Now, if the rewards were there, I wouldn't mind it at all. It would actually be pretty fun if you ask me, maybe I can do combat, get some sick loot, but most of the time, you're not getting sick loot. You're getting literally nothing useful. But from there, fishing, you can get some useful stuff. But let's say you're in the abyss, and it spawns fishing mobs in the water, as base mobs. And you can, fly around in your diver's armor, killing them, getting XP. And maybe they have different drops and different HP and they're stronger, stuff like that. Maybe they dropped that new expertise book that was leaked. Now, that's pretty cool. But it's just kind of hopes and dreams. Again, this is kind of a whole generic thing I want to talk about, is any of these updates that are coming out, they need to be built to last. The end update, I don't even know if the end update is a good example of an update built to last, but people still do dragons over a year later. The price, has only went up. If you guys didn't play back then, eyes used to be 400k. Now they're only 600k. So in a year, only 50% inflation on those items. A high demand item as well, which that is very weird. That's actually something worth talking about, because as you guys know, the game goes on, more coins are added to the game, which means items prices inflate. And we've definitely had more than 50% inflation over the last year. A normal amount of coins used to be less than 100 mil. And now you have people with billions. So yeah, that's just kind of a little side point to think about. But I really hope the Abyss update is cool. When do I think it will come out? Which, kind of saying this really late. Hopefully this year. They did talk about this year, but I have no idea how behind schedule they are, considering they took till July to release literally 3 floors in dungeons, and it's September and we only have 4 floors. So will Abyss be this year? Hopefully they got a few months to to make do. Hope they manage. They still need to come out with the money way for them to make money. There's so many things they could do with that, but they need more staff, so they need more money, which means they have to make stuff people can buy so they can get more money. It's just Skyblock's in a weird situation. I wish they thought of this stuff way before they even released it. They wouldn't be having issues a year later. Anyway, I think I've been getting off track too much, so I'm gonna let you guys go. If you guys made it through the video, thanks for watching. Maybe you're just gonna repeat this. Think about subscribing. I will catch you guys next time. Bye.